This is recording 701. Again, you can find me at ChristinaStacia918.com. Excuse me. Okay, so next up. All right, so I'm reading my own notes. I have to cut between all the paragraphs or I'm just cussing Jean out. Okay, so all right, so something I want to point out to you. Okay, this is already in my recordings, but I'll say it again. Okay, and as I just got done saying a minute ago. Okay, Jean is playing an Alice in Wonderland game, okay? You're going to have to go to my website. You're going to have to read it all. You're going to have to go through the decode that I've posted on Pinterest and on my website. I've got links to my code. It's also on Pinterest. It's also in all of these podcasts, okay? So what you can't see is what I still have, and what you can't see is at Tulsa Police Headquarters. If you need to reference any of that, then you contact the Secret Service, because it all should still be at Tulsa Police Headquarters if it's not at the Secret Service. None of it should be in Jean Roberts' fucking hands. So anyway, Jean, one of the things I turned Jean in for, I can see in my brain, okay? I've told you that. I've got special eyesight. All of my senses are heightened, okay? So having artificial intelligence is, everybody has it. As I've explained in my previous recordings, there's two different levels of it. I think the difference in the second level of it is the ability to use mental telepathy to communicate in mental telepathy, okay? So someone could have AI and be robotically controlled and not able to communicate in mental telepathy. Like I can literally, like, not like I'm talking right now on my podcast, but I can stop talking right now in my brain. I'll listen in my brain and it'll be active with Jean Roberts and their freaking dumbasses. And I know people are also on listening silently, which would be intelligence, which they can't always hear because she cuts them on and off. And then that's why I have a podcast, so I can just make public reports. And she has my mouth. I don't know how to explain this. My ability to talk in my brain, she mutes it. And then she passes my voice around, acting like different people are speaking for me. Okay, so she's trying to confuse everybody about who's who. So you can't trust anything in AI mental telepathy. Not present day, you can't, because Jean has it hijacked. Okay, so she's either lying to you with it or schmoozing you with it. Okay, that's all Jean is doing. So anyway, I can see in my brain visuals, okay? Which, like I told you, I can see pictures, I can see movies, I can see live, I can see all kinds of stuff. It's just whatever's being injected into my brain. Okay, so I turned Jean in and gave sketches and full explanations of crimes that Jean has committed, where I could see her or hear her bragging and admitting to committing those crimes. And I turned those into Tulsa Police Headquarters also. One of them is her robbing the cartel. Another one is her drowning a little Latin boy in a bathtub. And I told you, everybody has been trying to figure out in my brain from seeing the footage in my brain, where it happened, and then going with all of the ciphers I decoded and all of Jean's crime, trying to time place it, and everybody's got it back to like 2000, between 2010 and 2012 is when she did it. Okay, she bragged, she showed me that she did it. I could see this in my brain, and she told me she would get away with it. Okay, she's trying to manhandle the cartel. Jean Roberts is. And she does that with the two-way punch. by friend or by foe. Okay, so I'm not talking about everyday cops and robbers, but I am talking about everyday cops and robbers. But I'm telling you, she's underneath the everyday cops and robbers. Okay, so anyway, she has been stalking cartel family lines for the past 60 years, and she has been using ICE on the Latin community for 60 years. Okay, so what she tried to do here in Tulsa was her and her Charles Manson occult went around using AI voice modulation, and AI CGI. When I say CGI, that's computer graphics imaging. It's like, it's fake. And it looks like it's real. Some of it looks like it's very, very real. But anyway, she pretends to be people that she's not. She claims to be people that she's not. And she spreads lies everywhere, trying to incite and anger people. And I told you, if you allow your emotions to get involved, you're going to fall for it and be sucker to her shit. Okay? And then in the community, okay, in the real world, in the real realm, okay, on the street or in businesses anywhere, she will approach you and lie to your face, further spreading gossip and lies, trying to create a spider web of treachery and lies and trying to control, okay? So the Latin community worldwide is pretty much mostly aware of it, but there are still a lot of people who aren't aware of that. What she tried to do here in Tulsa was two different things, okay? And it's all a part of this AIW plot for present day to end of time. So she wanted to start, and I've already put this in previous recordings, she wanted to start her own little mob here. She wanted to grow out the Charles Manson occult, sucker people into it, promise them you're making a deal with the devil, basically. I mean, that's who Jean is. She's a Satanist. And she'll come to you in any form. Okay, so she wanted to grow out the Charles Manson occult, and then she wanted to cloak it by disguising it as the mob and also disguising it as the cartel. And she's even gone yelling and screaming with her people in my brain, oh my God, Christina is busting us. Christina is busting us. We're not able to control everybody because Christina keeps busting us. So she basically wants to control Latin people in Tulsa and making them all think that they're all connected to the cartel when it's really being controlled by her using ICE on them. Okay, so they weren't wise to that before, but they're wise to it now. And they're just as angry as everybody else. Why does she think she has a right to use ICE on people? Because she stole it. She has no right. She wants to control all of humanity with ICE. Okay? So anyway, so the using artificial intelligence or using ICE on someone, when I lived in Slidell, they used to differentiate it in a couple of different ways. So I'm not talking about the difference between the level 1 and level 2. I'm talking about if someone is controlling your body, like if Gene Roberts is using ICE to robot control you, to control your body, to make movements, to get in a car, to drive a car, to pick something up off the ground, to drop a pin on the ground, okay, any kind of movement with your body, okay, that'd be controlling your body. Okay, then there's another thing that she uses ICE to do, and that is reading your brain waves. Now, remember I told you she injects in your brain and she also extracts from your brain. Now, what Gene Roberts does is she injects filth and lies in your brain and then pulls the filth and lies out, and then she goes to someone that she's trying to con and go, see, 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 acting like she's the inventor of the crystal ball. Okay, so anyway, she's a snake oil salesman with ice. Okay, so anyway, there are people out there that use ice, that have access to it, to read brain waves, and they're not injecting stuff in just to pull stuff out. They're just reading brain waves, and they're also adept at interpreting when something is being injected in. So let's say the president of the United States is using ice to read someone's brainwaves. Okay, so he's aware that Gene Roberts and their criminals are injecting crap into someone's brain. Okay, so he automatically knows to look past whatever crap Gene is injecting. He's listening to actual, true, authentic brainwaves. Now, what Gene is trying to do is mask and cloak and conceal. And she does that by cloning your body and your brain. And so it's like an overlay of your actual brain. And then, because she's trying to fool people. So basically, ice is rendered useless. It's really useless. But anyway, people use the term smoking. And they started using that term when I lived in Slidell. Smoking you, that means I'm reading your brainwaves. I'm reading your mind. Versus full on controlling you. So anyway, different people, like I told you, have access to ice. But none of it can be trusted because Gene's got it totally hijacked. It's all screwed up. But anyway, so that's what she wanted to do. So, you know that TV show with Sylvester Stallone called Tulsa? And then he's the mob guy and he comes from New York. And they're like, you got to go to Tulsa. And he's like, I don't want to go to Tulsa. And they're like, you got to go to Tulsa. And he's like, I don't want to go to Tulsa. And they're like, you're going to Tulsa. And he goes to Tulsa. And then he sets up the whole thing in Tulsa. Okay, she's trying to do a real life of that. But she's a criminal posing as a cop. And basically what she's attracted is her same criminal mindset and everybody else that wants to know what the terrorist bitch is up to. Okay, so Tulsa has got a major terror cell in it, which is Gene Roberts and her Manson occult. But then it also has a lot of everybody else here now, too. Okay, because the cartel is not the only group of people that wants to know everything that Gene is up to. Okay, they know that I'm Christina Sasha. They know that I decode all of Gene Roberts' crimes. They know I can pretty much figure out the future in some of her crimes. And they know that I make reports, okay? They were dependent on listening to me in mental telepathy, which they do listen in mental telepathy. But so you're talking about major groups of people listening to me in mental telepathy. And then you've got all of Gene Roberts running their circus act, okay? So anyway, but I have a podcast, and now they can just go to my podcast like everybody else can around the world to see what I know or what I figure out, okay? Until Gene Roberts is arrested. So basically, Gene Roberts isn't going to be getting away with anything. She just thinks she is. So anyway, another thing, I wrote this down. Somebody reminded me to bring this up. When I first moved here, she was renting U-Haul trucks. And I don't know if she was doing that via ICE, like she was icing somebody else to rent a U-Haul truck. And they were just like living life, but she iced them. And then she controls it where it looks like they're involved, when they're really just could be somebody she's icing, or if she really rented them herself. But somebody wanted me to bring it up how she rented U-Haul trucks, openly bragging that she would get away with doing the Oklahoma City bombing. She actually rented U-Haul trucks, and she actually parked them in front of my house here on 79th Street. There was a U-Haul truck parked out in front of my house for like a week straight. She's literally just bragging about getting away with the Oklahoma City bombing like it's so damn big deal. So anyway, another thing I wanted to bring up was, okay, in the past 48 hours, maybe 3 days ago now, in my brain, she puts this visual of a thick slab concrete door, okay? And it's a gray concrete door, and there's a very, 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 very thin, I would say the size of a ruler, hole, okay? And it's a rectangular shape like a ruler. And then there's brown eyes looking through the window, okay? And then the person's skin look Caucasian. They look Caucasian with brown eyes. And then she puts it in my brain and makes it look like the person's eyes are like staring at me. So then people started freaking out, and they're like, who is that? And Gene Roberts people instantly goes, that's her Epstein's. That's her Epstein's. And they're like, go find out who that fucker is what they said. They said, go find out who he is. If it's one of Gene Roberts' little Epstein buddies, handle it. If it's not, find out who he is. And then people came on in my brain and said they'll find out who it is. If it's Gene's little Epstein buddies, they'll handle it. If it's not Gene's Epstein buddies and it's somebody that someone is looking for, they'll handle it. So I'm just making that report. So then, also, you know how she uses the inlets and outlets in a part of her terror plots, the column, the COLUM. Okay, so COLUM. Okay, that she uses as a part of her terror plots. So she also uses running out of something. The phrase, like you're running out of something. Okay, that goes to that part of the wordplay of her Charles Manson occult. So her like running me out of fluid, or her nickel and diming to run me out of money, or her breaking in and ripping apart clothes, running me out of clothes, or her trying to wear me out, trying to keep me from making reports against her. Like I'll ever get wore out, I'll keep making reports against her until she's arrested. Okay, so you know that the people that are doing that are the people, as Gene Roberts people. Those are the people that did the World Trade Center attack and Oklahoma City bombing. Those are terrorists. So that goes to that. So then somebody comes on in my brain the other night. So this guy comes on, okay, and he appears to the right of my bed. He's dressed in black, and he's got like a black cap on. He's all in black, and he's got a black cap on, and I think he has got like a white border around it. And while he shows up, he's holding a kid's hand, a little kid with curly hair. And then Gene Roberts people in the background are calling him the Pope. And then he lifts his eye. Okay, his cap, his whole face is covered like he's the Grim Reaper. And then he lifts the cap so part of his eye is revealed and it makes a triangle. And then they've been playing on it ever since, over the past 2 days, being vulgar and telling lies and just being their nasty ass selves. So anyway, somebody goes, that's your ex-husband. And then they're like, no, that's not your ex-husband. And then people said, they'll go find out. They'll go find out, because he should not be involved with Gene Roberts. And if it is somebody acting like him, they should probably fucking stop. So that is that. So let me put this. And by the way, this is all broadcast. This is my podcast. I told you can find me on my first 514 on Spotify, How Speaking to the CIA, or you can look me up, Scorpio71, look up my playlist. And then 514 and higher, you can find me on Podbean, Speaking to the CIA. This is all public broadcast, and I do try to put this all on the recent ones on YouTube. You can look me up, Christina Station, on YouTube. So that's the end of this recording.